And welcome to Girl Talk. Thanks for joining us today. We're filming on site at the Cambridge Winery here in Cambridge, Wisconsin. And this is your stomping grounds, Elise.
It is.
Not necessarily the winery, more Cambridge.
The winery too, it sounds like.
Yeah, I was here last weekend, but yes, I own a business 3 miles away, maybe less than, and I live here as well. So we should film here more often.
Yes, this was just
We'll be back.
so convenient. We're actually in the event room for Cambridge Winery, and it's really a neat room.
It's a beautiful space.
Yeah.
It's just absolutely stunning. It has beautiful lighting with these windows.
You can't see, but there's a panel of
Hopefully
all
we'll
windows,
show
and
you.
they're curved. The wall is curved, and it's really lovely.
So a lovely place for events, and well, you can speak to that because you just were here for the very first
here.
event.
Last weekend, there was the Arts Council of Cambridge put on an event here, and I believe it was called Fly Me Over the Moon. Everyone came in beautiful gowns around like the Frank Sinatra era. They had tables set up, like craps tables, poker tables.
Oh, wow.
There was this really cool half moon that you could sit in with a professional photographer. Hors d'oeuvres. They did, I'm like pointing to all the, where they were in the room.
You didn't even mention the wine yet. Get cut to the chase.
I'm getting there. And then you just post it up here, and they have fabulous wine, cocktails, whatever suits your fancy. But it was too much fun.
You are wearing your wine-colored sweater to
I am. I did that.
mark the occasion.
You noticed.
I did, yes. So how fun. I mean, that's just one event that I didn't even think of it for a use like that. I mean,
right, and this space is so huge, but they filled it so well, and it wasn't. You weren't right next to each other, you know, bumping glasses
No, that doesn't
or
feel
elbows.
good either, yeah.
Exactly. It was wonderful, and at night with the lights, it's just as neat
I
with
bet.
all the windows.
you can just picture it.
The event center is actually just a very small part to the whole production and of Cambridge Winery. It's a residential effort too that's going in. We'll learn more. We're going to talk with the owner, Frank, about what's going on and get a little update as well, and learn how you can reserve this event center for an event of your own.
Right. And we might head down to the Madison tasting room one evening, us ladies, because they have a great tasting room on Whitney Way too. So
Yeah.
So they have the tasting room here, and then on the west side.
Make me drive all the time.
well, we came to you today, Elise,
Yes, that's
so give us some credit. But we've got a fabulous show for you. On top of that, that'll be later in the show. We're also going to talk a little bit about physical therapy, which I think is a topic that actually for a lot of people for a variety of reasons, but primarily we're going to talk about exercise and how you can work exercise into your daily routine, you know, really maybe on a budget, but also talking about time constraints. I don't know a single person out there that says, boy, I just got to have all the time in the world and nothing to do with myself. Maybe you exist, and boy, I'm jealous. But for a lot of us folks, we're busy. We're trying to squeeze in these workouts, and we're going to get some pointers about how to do that and how to keep on track, right? Which is always another challenge.
Yeah, who we're speaking with will be Kurt Chapman. He's a physical therapist and has the Sport and Spine Physical Therapy clinics, actually 6 of them. So I think he knows what he's talking about.
And it's a perfect little segue to wine, because if you've noticed, there's been a lot of studies in the media about how having a glass of red wine a day can actually help your waistline. So maybe we'll ask him.
And I'm thinking if you maybe double the dose, that it will help you out twice.
Now there's a limit to how well that works.
More is better, huh? And you have to have your dark chocolate along with that, of course.
Correct. Whatever suits your fancy.
And we'll also chat with our friendly guys from AccuClimb Mechanical Services, talking about summertime and having your air conditioning looked at. It's too
coming
early.
up.
It's
Yes.
coming up.
It's coming up, and it's better to get in there sooner than later.
Right, or at least get it on the books is I think what they'll advise.
Pour a glass of wine, do a couple sit-ups, and get your air conditioning checked. That's what we're talking about today.
We'll be right back right after this. You're watching Girl Talk on the CW57.
Welcome back to Girl Talk. We are filming out here in Cambridge. This is a new set for us. You may notice that you don't recognize this space, but boy, this is a fabulous space, a great space for events, and hey, a great space to enjoy a glass of wine. What do you think, Janet?
I think so, yeah. So new space, but old faces here.
Well, yes, correct. We're going to learn about Cambridge Winery a little bit later in the show. We're also going to chit-chat with our friends from AccuClimb Mechanical Services. You may recognize John and Chris, and we're so pleased to see you guys.
Thanks for having us back again.
Thanks for joining us. John, you're actually from Cambridge, is that right?
It is. I grew up here, graduated high school from here, started my first job here about not more than 2 minutes from this building.
Really?
And, this was basically a cornfield when I was here. So things have changed a little bit in the last 20 plus years.
Yeah, a blast from the past for you today.
It is. I took a drive through town when I got here just to kind of reminisce, and it doesn't look anything like it did when I was younger, but there's still a few buildings there.
It's evolved, I suppose.
It
yeah.
did.
Well, welcome back to your stomping grounds, and now you're located in Middleton, that's right?
That's where our business is, yes.
All right.
Yes.
All right, well, spring is just a few weeks away, and that'll take us into summer. I remember not too long ago, a couple years ago, we had some really hot and humid summers, and I don't have air conditioning in my home, so I definitely noticed it. And you're probably thinking it's not too early to have people start thinking about checking their air conditioning. Is that correct? And when should they?
Yeah, really they should at least be putting it on the calendar to get in the schedule. As soon as we get that first warm snap, everybody jumps on the gun and they want to make an appointment, and it's always, the 8 o'clock one that goes first because they want to get it in before they go to work or something like that. But the ideal time for us to be doing the tune-ups, in a perfect world, we love above 65 degrees. That way we can really check the system thoroughly. But definitely, put it on your calendar. Call the guys, at AccuClimb, March, beginning of April, get it in the schedule. That way we can get there and get it taken care of. It's coming.
The sooner you call, the better, because as it starts to get warm, it's supposed to be in the 60s next week as it is. The phone's going to go nuts, and all of a sudden, instead of getting you in May, it's going to be June or July because we're going to get swamped that bad.
Right.
Yep.
So think ahead, plan ahead, folks.
Exactly.
So we're in, there's a lot of homes around the Lake Ripley area that are either now or used to be summer cottages. And some of those homes don't have air conditioning at all, right? So
Correct.
What can you do for those folks? It gets pretty hot in the summer. Believe it or not, it's going to get hot, right?
So it does every year.
Every year, you start to forget this time of year. But how do you help those folks that don't have air conditioning at all?
We've got a bunch of different options that
I'm
we
listening.
can do.
Yeah, Janet's perked right up.
Your house on the lake too.
Yeah.
We've got a bunch of different options that we can do. It's just like a boiler system within people's houses. We have conventional still air conditioning systems. We have ductless split systems, things that are still aesthetically pleasing that you can keep the looks of the home and you're not having a window shaker or something like that hanging out the side of the house.
Yeah, that's my least favorite look, I would say, of the options you just described.
Nice and quiet, where you can enjoy yourself, family's there, and you don't have to worry about the noise, but yet extremely efficient.
Exactly.
Right.
So that, you can save on the energy bills as well and be comfortable.
Okay.
Make you feel just right.
Yes, make you feel just right. And I like the savings idea too. Save on those energy bills.
Definitely.
And quiet's important too. You're trying to enjoy a nice summer home with your family, and you don't need to hear that air conditioning revving up every time it kicks on.
Well, it's time
Very
to
true.
relax when you come home at night and you want to just sit back and relax and maybe
Have
have a glass of wine.
Yeah.
Just kind of relax. You don't want that loud, obnoxious thing right on the windows.
Totally agree.
So speaking of savings, in the past you've given away Bucky books with some of your tune-up specials and things like that. What have you got going on for the spring and summer?
Well, this week, if you mention Girl Talk, you saw us on Girl Talk. We've got a special going with Hairdice Salon in Sun Prairie, 1 month unlimited tanning. Call us before May 1st. We will put you in the drawing for the coupon for the free 1 month unlimited tanning, and they're willing to have you guys come out and do some tanning out there. So your tan will be ready for the summer or prom, whatever's first.
Sure, yeah.
I think I need that service.
There you go.
Maybe I'll enter.
There's a few of us that do. I understand.
Right, we'll all get in there.
You've been sporting the winter white for too long.
I have, yeah. I'm ready for a change. So, well, we've said it before, but if you need a guy to kind of have on hand, these are your guys for heating and air. You guys are just fabulous. We always appreciate your knowledge. Just helping us out with some of these basic questions sometimes that we have. But you're just fabulous. So thanks for sharing.
Thanks for having us again.
This is Chris and John with AccuClimb Mechanical Services. We've got more Girl Talk coming up here at Cambridge Winery. We'll be right back.
and welcome back to Girl Talk. We are filming on site at Cambridge Winery here in Cambridge, Wisconsin. This is a new place for us to shoot these Girl Talk episodes, and we are loving it. Later on, we'll meet the owner, Frank Peregrine, and learn a little bit more about this new venture they have going here in Cambridge.
Yes, I'm excited about that, and maybe we'll hop behind the bar and go grab a glass of wine.
Maybe we will. We'll return our discussion next, though, to physical therapy, and with us we have a physical therapist and owner of the Sport and Spine Physical Therapy Clinics. Now, there's several of these clinics, and with us is Kurt Chapman, the owner of these clinics. Kurt, thanks for coming in today.
Thanks for having me.
So as people get going on an exercise program, what are some keys to reducing the risk of injury as they get started?
Well, typically people that we see in physical therapy come to us because of an injury. And beyond their recovery in our clinic, our goal for most of our patients is to get them on some kind of independent plan that they can use to take care of themselves going forward. So some of the most important things, I think, are to find things that they enjoy to do, first of all. Have variety in their program. A lot of the injuries we see tend to be overuse types of injuries. So having variety, whether it's cycling, swimming, running for triathletes, or incorporating weight training, other types of classes, that's generally where we start as far as making a suggestion to them.
Variety is the spice. Not only does it help keep it interesting, but avoid those overuse injuries.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So Kurt, what are some of the keys to making an exercise or fitness program sustainable for a long amount of time for these clients?
I would begin with the idea that it's something they must enjoy first.
It's a good place to start.
Yeah, and I think cost sometimes comes into play as well. Something that's affordable, something that's accessible to them. For me, it happens to be running. It's easy to put on a pair of shoes, walk out the door and go. It's easy to fit into a busy schedule, and I think trying to make it work and family friendly is a helpful element too.
Sure. Yeah, I like that you talk about a busy schedule because so many of us have really busy schedules, and I think that's oftentimes a hindrance to people and, or an excuse, whatever you want to call it, to working out and not being able to get that physical exercise. So give us some pointers if there are time restraints, equipment restraints. You mentioned running. I think that's a great one of how we can maximize our benefits of exercise under some restraints like that.
I think we look at a patient being able to do things at home independently a lot in our planning for their exercise programs. And we use all types of things that are inexpensive, from physio balls to suspension strap systems, free weights. I think my belief is that the most important resistance that we work with day to day is our body weight. So a person can do a ton of body weight things that work on core strengthening, leg strengthening, and balance, because balance also declines as we age.
And
Good
that's
to know.
completely free.
And
And you don't need equipment anywhere.
Right.
Absolutely.
No, and I like that even the equipment that you did mention are relatively space saving. You don't have to have a whole exercise room and aren't real expensive items too. So some good options.
Right, and being able to sustain a program, you can't lose weight in a day, you can't get strong in a day, so having something that is sustainable is great and desirable. With regard to running, are there specific things that people can do to avoid the overuse? I know some people, you get all excited about a new program and then you do overdo it, or maybe it's your only thing, your main thing. Like you said, it's so easy to just put on your shoes, so that's your go-to.
Definitely. And I think there are a lot of misconceptions and a lot of habits that people learned years and years, decades ago, that have been proven through science to not be the safest. For example, I remember when I was in sports in high school and college, we did a lot of static stretching before we would begin our exercise or our practice. And what we've learned is that doing more of a dynamic type of warm-up and something more movement-based to increase your body temperature and to get things moving better tends to be more effective. Another simple thing to keep in mind is to start something gradually. I think, as you stated, a lot of people get excited about starting something and they do too much too soon, and that is a recipe for injury.
And we just have a little bit of time left, so I want to make sure that we talk about this really quick before we go. For folks at home who have a variety of reasons that they might use a physical therapist, what do you think is the best way to access those services? Now, you have many clinics, you mentioned before we started.
We have 6 locations in southeast and south central Wisconsin. And the beauty of it is in the state of Wisconsin, people can access physical therapy directly. So you don't need a physician referral in most cases. And in most situations, you can contact one of our clinics, go to our website, and learn more about us.
Very good. Thank you so much for sharing that.
Well, thanks, Kurt. This is Kurt Chapman. He's with Sport and Spine Physical Therapy Clinics, and he can be found right in Fort Atkinson. We'll be back with more Girl Talk right after this, meeting the folks at Cambridge Winery.
Welcome back to Girl Talk. We have been enjoying our time here at Cambridge Winery. We are in Cambridge, and not too long ago we had Frank Peregrine on our show, and we got to learn a little bit about some of his planning for this fabulous opening, and we had to learn more. So here we are, and we're actually sitting in Cambridge Winery. We're so pleased to be here, Frank. Thanks for having us.
Oh, you're welcome. It's my pleasure.
So we have a lot to cover, but I want to learn first a little bit about this beautiful event center.
Well, the event space is a building we acquired from Matt Kenseth. It was his fan club museum for about 10 years. Nice facility. We remodeled it to turn it in from a NASCAR museum into a winery tasting room, and hopefully we've done a nice job with that. We just opened to the public about 2 weeks ago, and we had our first major event this past weekend. It was a Cambridge Arts Council gala, annual gala. We had about 200 people here on Saturday night, including Elise. So
I was there. I had a great time.
and it was a wonderful time for everybody. And most of the people that were here were locals from Cambridge, and they got to enjoy this new venue.
How wonderful. And I think I can speak for a lot of ladies out there. No offense, NASCAR, but we much prefer the winery.
So Frank, how is the development coming along?
Well, the development, we put in curbs and roads, water and sewer last fall. We have 2 homes built. We have about half of the lots available. We have a lot of activity in the last few weeks. Everybody's getting spring fever and they're out looking at potential places to live. We're getting pretty good demand because the inventory of homes for sale is not high and the demand is fairly high. So a lot of people are looking at building a new home as an option. So we've got 25 lots of our 50 that are accessible by road right now. We also have a condominium development that is going to break ground in about 2 weeks. We're at the final stages of getting that taken care of. And we're hoping to break ground on the apartment building later this spring as well.
So it sounds like development is coming along quite nicely. Very exciting.
It is, and we're also continuing to develop the vineyard. As you know from our previous talks, that homes in this development will be, if they're not on the vineyard, they'll be very close to it. So there'll be vines in many of the backyards. Won't be in the backyard, it'll be on the winery property, but it'll be right up to the backyard property line. So we're going to plant another 5 acres of vines in about 2 months. We'll start that activity in April. And we planted 4 acres last year, so we'll have a lot of vines up there.
Sounds like a romantic fairy tale, the idea of living right next to a vineyard, but not something that can be a reality, but here it is, being a reality right behind us.
And Frank is not only the owner of Cambridge Winery, but you're also a master gardener, and you have been planting grapes.
That's correct. Most of what I learned about grape cultivation was through the UW system. They've got at the UW West Madison Ag Research Station, where I've been a volunteer for about 10 years, they've got grape trials going on. Also, the UW instructors have been hosting a number of seminars that I've attended. We actually hired a horticulture graduate from UW program who has joined us full time, and he'll be doing most of the heavy lifting in the vineyard. I'll be standing there watching him, I think.
And I think it's worth mentioning that you use organic methods in your winery.
As much as possible. We have in the back room here, we have an ozone sprayer that will spray ozonated water onto our vines. Ozone will kill any pathogens it comes in contact with. And there's so many mildews and funguses and things like that that you can get on your vines that we're hoping to be able to avoid chemical sprays. It's a little bit of an experimental technique so far. It's got some success, and if we can just simply cut our spraying in half, it would be accomplishing a lot for us.
Very good. And I want to touch a little bit too with the building of this new event center and the development going on and all of these things that are happening for Cambridge Winery. Talk to us a little bit about the wine tasting room on Whitney Way in Madison.
Well, we opened the wine tasting room there in November of 2014, so it's been a little over a year. We're intending to continue to operate that, so the same wine and the same pricing, the same everything is available at the Whitney Way location as is available out here. One of the differentiating factors is out here we have event space that can host up to 300 people. We don't have anywhere near that space in Madison. Madison is great for smaller groups and local groups, 30, 40 people. We've had groups of 60 in there before, and it was very comfortable. So.
Sounds like a girls' night we need to do, huh?
Sounds like
So I think so. I had such a great time here last weekend. How can our viewers at home, how do they get in contact with you if they're interested in setting up a party here at this beautiful event?
Best way would be to go to our website. We have a form that they can fill out. It's a contact form. We actually have a full-time events person on board who can help coordinate what they would like. We have a full kitchen here, so we can do a banquet, or we can do a buffet. We can do those sort of things. We're not intending to operate as a restaurant per se, other than having some small bites that our tasting room patrons might want to enjoy. The kitchen is really there to support the banquet facility.
You need a little cheese with your wine.
Oh, absolutely.
That's right, yes.
Cheese and meat plates are very popular.
This is such a romantic, beautiful space. I can just envision all kinds of events happening here. What a beautiful place for a wedding reception, or just so many possibilities. It's truly, you should stop in if you're anywhere near the Cambridge area. It is absolutely worth it. All the little details are beautiful, and of course, there are rows and rows and racks of wine along the side there that add to the touch.
And a big panel of curved windows.
Beautiful windows.
It's lovely. Sort of reminds me of the Monona Terrace in a way.
Yeah.
It is. We just don't have the big lake out in front of us.
Just
We
need
have-
a lake.
No, but it's beautiful. We've got a beautiful field to look at, and of course, we've got the vineyards behind us. So just a lovely space. Thank you for sharing this with us.
Oh, you're welcome. My pleasure.
Well, we're all set. This is Frank with Cambridge Winery. We want to thank you so much for having us. Thanks to all of our guests, and thank you for watching. Join us next time for Girl Talk.